Hi everybody, welcome back to the channel. I'm StrangeNet and today we're going to be talking about how to get into manufacturing. I now have a Discord server up and running, so I will drop the link in the description of this video, somewhere just for you to come ask questions, hang out, take advice from other people, and potentially to give me video suggestions for the future. So manufacturing is relatively straightforward. What we're doing is we're taking a base of material, whatever that may be, we are adding value to it and we are selling it for an increased amount of ISK. Now, the problem that a lot of people come and say is, where do I start? How do I get into this? I really want to get into manufacturing, but I'm overwhelmed and I have no idea where to start. So what we need to do first of all is we need to find some items that are profitable, and what I would suggest is go to contracts, type in the item that you think you would like to build to see if it is going to make a profit. So we've got the Drake here. It's a fully researched BPC, and I would recommend BPCs first of all before jumping into any of the BPOs. So go into industry. This is the materials that we will need. We are buying them directly from Jitter. So let's have a quick check. So 49.5 installation cost. We need to choose the facility. Now we will take Jitter because we are here. Where are we? 4. Yeah. So 6 million to install. So we're looking at what, 49.55 million ISK. These are selling for 57 million ISK, so I'm potentially going to make $1 million ISK there. Not great, not terrible. Let's have another look at another item. Let's take the Cyclone. Use. Same principle again. See how much, well, we know how much it costs because they've all been homogenized now, so 49.5. And installation cost, so 55, and these are selling for 59 minus taxes. I've got taxes of 5.58. You will need to check your taxes on your market screen, which can be found here. So these two added together depending on where you're selling, and with that I would be making 4 million ISK profit. See how many are selling per day, just to make sure that some do get sold. There's not a lot of these being sold, up to 20 a day. So potentially you could crack out a couple of these and make 10 million ISK a day. Seems semi or reasonable. And just keep looking through items, and once you've found an item, buy a BPC, try it, build it, see if it does sell, see if it exceeds the expectations that you have. If you're building one a day and hoping to sell one a day, is one selling every day? If you're selling it as, within an hour of putting it up every day, then it might be worth building 2 at a time instead of 1. And just increase the amount that you're producing until you find out that, you're not selling 5 Cyclones a day. 4 seems to be the happy part, or the happy medium where you're selling. So once you've reached that, then move on to another item and test that and see if that works the same, and just expand slowly from there. And again, if you do find that you're making a killing selling all the Cyclones that you're making, then it is worth then thinking about buying potentially the BPO for it. So obviously you haven't got the cost of the BPC. Now the BPCs are relatively small. We're talking what, 250k, and the Cyclone BPO is not sure offhand. I imagine it's about 600-700 million ISK, so you could obviously get a lot of copies for the price that you would be buying the BPO for. But this is how to do it and how to expand, and how eventually you'll end up with loads of BPOs and BPCs and other bits that just slowly clog up. Because again, just because something's selling well today doesn't mean that it'll sell well forever. And it could just be that the market at the moment is, there we go, is doing really well for Cyclones. Now if we take a look at the graph without getting too much into the market inside of it. Again, we can see that it is kind of depressed at the moment and it is going up, and it's always sometimes handy to click buy this item just so you can see where we are in the market trend here. So at the moment we are selling below the average price, so that price could go up, so you could be making a little bit more on the cyclone. And this is basically the essence of it, and it's trying to keep it as simple and as easy and as straightforward as possible. Don't overcomplicate it. If it makes ISK, build it. If it's selling, build more of them. If it's not, stop building it. Don't continue, and make sure that you're calculating all the costs, your production costs, your installation cost, your taxes, and all the other little bits, the BPC. You don't want to be building at a loss. And you can expand from here into Tech 2 items and go from there as well. Now, a great example here is what I'm currently doing at the moment. So at the moment I am researching some torpedoes to see if they sell. Again, I go a bit OTT sometimes, so I've got quite a lot there. But the auto integrity preservation seals. Now, again, think of this on a slightly smaller scale, but I saw an opportunity here. I bought 10 of the BPOs. Started manufacturing them, found they were selling quicker than I could manufacture them, so bought another 20. Now, I've kind of reached the point where I think that I've got enough BPOs here that I can be cranking out enough that if I'm not careful, I'm not going to necessarily oversaturate the market, but I'm also competing with other people that are doing the same. So I could probably expand that further, but it becomes harder and harder to sell depending on how many you're producing and how much the market can sustain. So at the moment we're looking at 20,000 a day, and I am building 200 at a time times 30, so 6,000. And I still use this principle now. At the moment I am building torpedoes, Tech 2 torpedoes. Now, I've never built Tech 2 torpedoes before, and I'm going to give it a go and see how they get on. There's a decent profit margin there, and we can see at the moment I'm inventing quite a lot because, well, I go a bit OTT, but you get the general gist. Giving it a go, seeing how I get on. Now, if we look down here, we've got the auto integrity preservation seals. Now, this is another great example of expanding into a market. So I saw an opportunity here. These haven't been out very long. I bought 10 of the BPOs. If you're just getting into manufacturing, think of it in a smaller scale, so you would have bought 1. I bought 10 to test the waters. I thought the market could quite easily handle me making 10 times 200 a day. So I built them. They were selling faster than I could make them, so I decided it was time to buy some more. I bought another 20, and now I'm reaching that point where I'm making about 6,000 every 36 hours, give or take. And we can see here the market is at about 20,000 a day. So if I was to expand that much more, I'm making a quarter of what Jitter market can sustain a day, which I don't think is sustainable. That's potentially could leave 4 people doing the entire market. So my point is there that I've probably bought a few too many here, but at the time they were making a decent amount of ISK and they were selling as quickly as I was making. That has slowed down slightly, and so there was no point in me buying more BPOs. 30 was more than enough to sustain the amount of what the market could handle. But my point is that the starting 10 wasn't enough, and so therefore I expanded to the point where now I feel that I've reached market saturation. But if I'm doing it too much, I'm either going to be left with inventory that I can't sell, or it's just going to force the market price lower, and that's not really what I want to do either. So it's a great example of expanding into a market into the point where it's not worth going any further. However, on a side note, there is always something to remember, that by buying the prices can change and things move. So at the moment, these are profitable for me to make. If the price drops drastically and they become unprofitable, I still have the BPOs, and potentially I could sell them back to the market. And that is because BPOs generally hold roughly their NPC price tag. Now, obviously, I have researched these, so they might go slightly more, they might go slightly less, depending on obviously the market at the time and how many people are selling. But the point is that they won't drop massively from where I initially bought them from. So BPOs do generally hold their value, and if let's have a quick check. Let's have a look at contracts. So at the moment there are a good number for sale, but again, as you can see here, the minimum that anyone is currently selling one for, which has any kind of research on, is 200 million. So that's 50 million ISK above what I bought it for. And if I wanted to sell one of the BPOs that I fully researched now, we're looking at 250 million ISK. So potentially 100 million ISK above where I initially bought it, minus the cost of the research itself. So again, you've got the two options there. You can either hold on to the BPO and hope that it becomes profitable again, or enough people get out of the market, or you can potentially sell it and recoup the cost that you paid for the BPOs, obviously minus time and research. So there's a lot of things to think about in general, but again, try and keep it simple. As I said at the start, probe the waters, see what works. The things that are working, repeat, do them again, increase, do them more until the point where it's not working, and basically drop off the things that aren't working. So if we bought, I don't know, Elishek, and at the time it was profitable to build, all of a sudden now we're looking at 804 million ISK, not including anything else. 804. I can't build this for a profit. So again, I wouldn't be buying any more Elishek BPCs because at the moment I can't make a profit from them. So there's no point in buying them if I can't make any ISK. You want to keep buying the things that are making you ISK and drop off the things that aren't making you ISK. And again, some things cycle round, so the things that aren't profitable necessarily today might be profitable in a week's time. Something to keep an eye on. But keep going back to your BPCs or your BPOs, recheck in to see if they are profitable. And again, if you've got a BPO and it's not currently profitable, it might be worth just giving it some research if it's not at full, and hopefully then by the time it is profitable again, you'll have a better research BPO and you can make more ISK that way. And that is the general basic approach to manufacturing that I take. I try and keep it as simple as possible. Again, it's not particularly complicated. You just need to make sure that you are making or adding value to the end item. So you are taking your base materials, whatever that is, adding value by turning it into something else, and then selling the added value at an increased price from what you initially bought for starting materials.